Hey guys, what's up? Today we're going to be looking at the Z100 Lite gaming mouse. So I came across this mouse when I was looking for new products to review on Amazon. I noticed it was a 65-gram lightweight mouse with a honeycomb shell, a ultraflex cable, and RGB on the inside of the mouse. Sound familiar? At only $35, I thought, why not give it a try? Well, let's just say I was definitely surprised. With that being said, let's get a good look at this mouse and see if it's worth your hard-earned money. Starting off with the shape of the Z100 Lite, it's an ambi-shaped mouse with side buttons only on the left side of the mouse. Here you can see being compared to similar mice like their own Z100 and the glorious Model O. The 65-gram weight helps the mouse to feel light and glide better when aiming. The mouse 1 and 2 buttons have strong flares at the top, and the frame of the mouse is made out of a plastic that isn't very shine resistant. Fingerprints and marks will show. While holding the mouse, I can barely feel the holes in the palm of my hand. But on the side of the mouse, I can definitely feel the holes on my thumb. They didn't do a good job of concealing the feel of the holes, which I know for some people is annoying. I personally don't like the feeling of the holes, and honestly this made the mouse feel uncomfortable. Moving to aesthetics, I don't really like the RGB lighting on this mouse. A good portion of the light is diffused from the shell and the inside layer that I'm assuming is used to prevent dust and small particles from entering the inside of the mouse. The lighting from the top-down perspective is the most prominent, with the RGB on the sides coming from the honeycomb punch-out being pretty dull. The honeycomb design made me think this may be a Model O clone, but it has a more pronounced hump at the top of the mouse and a shorter bottom half. The mouse 1 and 2 buttons are also flared out much farther than the Model O. Looking at colorway options, the Z100 Lite is offered in one color, which is a matte black, and I think if they would have offered a white version, it would have made the mouse appear more vibrant and brighter, and it also would have reflected the lighting better. Mouse 1 and 2 buttons are decent. They aren't very clicky, but they each have their own unique sound. The side buttons are very thin, and they stick out a lot on the side of the mouse. The back side button has a lot of pre-travel and a lot of post-travel. The front side button has less pre-travel, but just about the same amount of post-travel as the back side button. They aren't textured, and they feel like standard plastic, but a bit sharp since they're thin and stick out a lot. This could have been avoided if the side buttons were made bigger and the punch-out was made smaller on the side of the mouse. The scroll wheel is textured with small hexagons, but it doesn't feel like there's anything there. It feels like a normal scroll wheel without any texture, so this might have been only for aesthetics. Scrolling is pretty quiet, but it makes a small noise when scrolling from the plastic. I can barely feel any steps when scrolling, so it doesn't offer any feedback. Shifting over to the mouse feet, these are made from ptfe material, also known as Teflon, which if you didn't know is a plastic with a very low coefficient of friction. Which is good because when you're playing a game, you want there to be little to no friction between the bottom of your mouse and your mouse pad. However, I don't know if it's the feet or if it's the middle area with the sensor, but I feel a bit of friction on the bottom of the mouse. I've tried using the mouse with the Matrix mouse pad and the SteelSeries QCK pad, and they both have had some friction when moving the mouse. I think for someone who hasn't played with hyperglides or high quality mouse feet, they could be fine and enjoy the feet. But for someone who knows the smoothness and the glide of the feet on some better mice, they wouldn't be impressed. Overall, the glide is good, but the way it was advertised and at this price point, I expected better. The mouse cable for this mouse is a very tight-knit and sturdy cable. It's long and it has a Velcro wrap attached to it for when you need to wrap up the cable and put it away. While the cable's build quality seemed good, it tended to kink up and get in the way of my vertical movements when playing, even with a mouse bungee. I tried multiple times to straighten the cord to keep it out of the way, but it always got tangled right in front of the mouse. This mouse is equipped with the Pixar 3325 sensor, which performed good while I was testing it out. I didn't get any spin out, lag, or tracking issues with this mouse. While in game, it performed solid and I felt that the sensor followed my movements well. Although it performed well, it's definitely not the best sensor on the market. I would have liked to see a 3360 sensor on this, which is on mice like the Model O and the Zowie EC2B. I can understand why they did not opt to go that route, trying to keep the price down, but it just would have made this mouse a lot more snappier and responsive. This next part was honestly the most disappointing part of this mouse. It doesn't have any onboard options to change RGB, which is fine, but as I was searching the product page for a way to edit the mouse through software, I came across this. With a separate English interface driver, if you need to use, please contact customer service to download the link. So apparently you need to contact customer service to have access to the drivers, which have access to the lighting options, customization, and remapping of buttons. I noticed in the customer questions and answers, people were putting the link to the software, but I think this should have been included on the product page or inside of the box with the mouse. I think having to look through customer reviews and questions or contacting customer service to access software that's essential to the functionality of this mouse is very inconvenient. Being priced at $35, I definitely expected better. With amazing options like the Razer Viper Mini being only $5 more and the Model O being only $15 more, I can't recommend this mouse. If you really need a cheap gaming mouse, I would say get the ptfe gaming mouse on Amazon, which is about half the price of the Z100 Lite. That mouse was my first gaming mouse and I used it for almost a year before upgrading. It doesn't have glides on the bottom, but the sensor is decent and it's priced appropriately, and it feels well made. It has easy to access drivers and software, and the lighting is bright. The Z100 Lite isn't terrible, but at this price point it has too many mediocre features and issues for me to justify the purchase. That's gonna wrap up the review. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you're not subscribed, hit the sub button to stay up to date on when new product reviews drop, and drop in the comments what you want to see next, and I'll see you guys in the next one.